Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. We are now entering game week 10 of the new season. That's right, we're into double figures of game weeks, and that means that it's that time of the week again where I give my Premier League predictions for the upcoming round of Premier League fixtures. That this week we'll see some big clashes throughout the entirety of the table, as there are some managers that are under certain and large amounts of pressure to get results this week, and of course we all know who they are. But before we go any further in talking about this week's round of Premier League fixtures, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated, and of course get involved too. I would love to know your thoughts and comments, and most of all your opinions and predictions on how you think this week will go in terms of the Premier League fixtures, and also in terms of your fantasy football teams as well. Who do you think will have a good week, and who are you putting in, and who do you think will have a bad week and maybe taken out of your team? I'd love to know what your thoughts are behind that as well. But without further ado, let's get into the Premier League predictions, starting with Saturday's lunchtime kickoff. That's right, we begin with Saturday's interesting and potentially exciting midday clash between Leicester and Arsenal at the King Power Stadium. Last time out, both sides were victorious in their respective matches, with the Foxes beating Brentford 2-1, whilst Arsenal beat Aston Villa 3-1. Big game this one, potentially very exciting, definitely an interesting game for your Saturday lunchtime viewing. Could be a very attacking game from both sides, of course, and a very difficult game to call overall. But as far as a prediction actually does go, either side could go on and win it, but I'm going to call it down the middle and go for a draw here. I'm going to say 2-2. Next up, we're at Turf Moor as Burnley host Brentford. Burnley drew 2-2 with Southampton last time out, whilst Brentford suffered back-to-back defeats for the first time this season as they lost 2-1 to Leicester. Big game this one. Burnley are still in search of their first win of the season, whilst Brentford of course will want to get back to winning ways. Burnley at home could be a very tough fixture for Thomas Frank's side, but in saying that, I'm still going to give the edge to the Bees here. I'm still going to back them to beat the Clarets in this fixture, and that's why I'm predicting a 2-1 Brentford win. Next in our list, we come to Anfield as Liverpool host Brighton. They clash Saturday's 3 PM fixture. The Reds absolutely demolished Manchester United last time out as they beat the Red Devils 5-0, whilst Brighton lost 4-1 to Manchester City. Interesting game this one. Liverpool rarely ever get a 3 o'clock kickoff, but yeah, here we are. The Reds come into this one with an attack firing on all cylinders, but Brighton do have an attack themselves that can hurt the Reds' defence, especially given how the Liverpool backline isn't exactly as watertight as we have known it to be previously. Just simply based off the fact that Mohamed Salah is in scorching hot form right now, the fact that this game is at Anfield, and how this Liverpool side seem very determined and are acting like a well-oiled machine right now, and, well, the fact that they're on my team, of course, I have to go for a Liverpool win in this game, and that is why I see the Reds beating the Seagulls by 3-1. Manchester City take on Crystal Palace at the Etihad next in our list, as Patrick Vieira returns as manager of Palace to, of course, a team that he used to play for during his playing days. City go into this game off the back of a 4-1 victory over Brighton, whilst Crystal Palace come into this game off the back of a 1-1 draw with Newcastle. This one is an interesting one. City at the Etihad with their current form should of course sweep aside Palace in this fixture, and let's face it, that's where the safe bet lies. But we've already seen that Palace, despite getting beaten by the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool this campaign, have proven to be tough opposition, even in the early stages of Vieira's reign of the manager, for everybody that they've come up against otherwise. So much so that they've been involved in the most draws this campaign by any other Premier League club. So, don't rule out Palace getting a result here by any means. They certainly could shock City in this fixture. But in saying that, like I say, I have to go with the safe option. I have to go with a safe bet and go for a City win and say that Pep Guardiola's side run out as 3-1 winners. Next up, the Magpies clash with the Blues at St James's Park. Newcastle are still without a win this season, following their latest result being a draw to Crystal Palace, whilst Chelsea are, of course, top of the league, having remained there through absolutely running riot last weekend at the expense of Norwich as they beat the Canaries 7-0. This one should be one of the more predictable ones to call this weekend, you'd think. It's hard to see a managerless Newcastle, how they can overcome Chelsea in this fixture, or even get a draw, to be honest. Of course, stranger things have happened, especially in the Premier League, so you can't ever take anything for granted. This can't be something that Chelsea turn up for and think is already won, because that could lead to some complacency, which could see Newcastle shock the Blues in some respect. But in saying that, come on, Chelsea should be winning this game fairly comfortably, and that's why I'm going for a 3-0 prediction in favour of Thomas Tuchel's side. Next on our list, Vicarage Road plays host to Watford, taking on Southampton. The Hornets picked up their first win under the Claudio Ranieri era last week, and what a win it was as they beat Everton 5-2, while Southampton drew 2-2 with Burnley. Interesting game this one, an intriguing one between two potential relegation rivals, candidates, however you want to call them. The Hornets will want to build some momentum from their result last week, whilst the Saints remain a difficult side to beat this season. They just need to turn some of their draws into wins, but both sides do need more points on the board. Difficult game to call this one, but I'm going to have to predict a draw. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw in this fixture, but I wouldn't be surprised if either side does go on to edge out this game and take all 3 points come the final whistle. But 1-1 draw is my prediction. Next, we're skipping ahead a little because we're coming to Sunday's games, and first up, we're talking about Norwich taking on Leeds at Carrow Road. The Canaries are still without a win this season, having been beaten and humiliated at the hands of Chelsea last weekend with their 7-0 thrashing of them last week, whilst Leeds managed to rescue a last-gasp draw against Wolves. Two teams very much in need of points clash in this fixture. Norwich will be wanting a huge response from, of course, that embarrassing heavy defeat last weekend, whilst Leeds have been very underwhelming this season when in comparison to last, and need to really find their rhythm very soon, otherwise could face a very lengthy and long relegation battle ahead, possibly. This game represents a big chance of either side getting some points on the board. They'll both be fancying their chances, you'd assume, even Norwich, with Leeds not performing to expectation this season. I'm going for a Leeds win in this game. They should be winning this game, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to the away side. Next up, Aston Villa take on West Ham at Villa Park on Sunday afternoon. Villa were beaten by Arsenal last time out, whilst West Ham came out with the bragging rights and the points in the London derby against Tottenham last weekend, with David Moyes' side winning 1-0. Intriguing game ahead. I'm interested by Villa. So much was expected of them this season given their transfer activity in the summer, but so far they've been a little bit underwhelming in all honesty. Whilst West Ham, they are currently in the top 4 and have continued to perform well this season and have picked up from where they left off during the last campaign. Even with the extra Europa League commitments to their schedule, David Moyes' side don't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. This game could go any which way. Villa do have the potential to turn up and perform whenever they want, whilst West Ham always have the potential for an off day, but if they remain as consistent as they sort of have been over the past two couple of seasons, they will of course get a decent result here, I'm sure. And that is why I'm going to give the edge to the Hammers in this game. I'm going to give the edge to the Hammers, and I'm going to say that West Ham will come out of this game as 2-1 winners. In our penultimate game, we're looking ahead to Monday night's fixture as Wolves squares off against Everton at Molineux. Wolves come into this game off the back of a 1-1 draw with Leeds, whilst Everton suffered a 5-2 defeat at the hands of Watford last time out. This game will probably see an attack versus defence sort of style. We both know how these two teams line up. We've got Wolves with an attacking style of play, whilst Everton, of course, favour a more defensive outlook on the game with Rafa Benitez at the helm, of course, and they will look to try and counter-attack using the likes of Andros Townsend and Damari Gray as the vocal points of that. Wolves have played some good football this season at times, but failure to take their chances when they came have cost them multiple points across this early stage of the season already, whilst Everton have performed well under Rafa Benitez so far this season, and they'll be hoping that last week's defeat to Watford was just a one-off performance. My prediction for this game is a 2-2 draw here. I wouldn't be surprised whichever way the result goes, but I am going to call it down the middle and go for that Desmond draw. And for our final game, the game I believe to be the main event of this weekend, the headline fixture of this round of Premier League fixtures, in what could be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's final stand as Manchester United manager. His United side travelled to London to take on Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in Saturday's evening kickoff. Both sides come into this game off the back of defeats to rivals. Tottenham lost a London derby to West Ham last week, whilst United were absolutely humiliated and embarrassed by Liverpool last time out when they lost 5-0 to the Merseyside club. Big game, you don't need me to tell you that. It's of course a big game for both sides, but more so I believe for United, of course. It's a must-win game for Solskjaer for obvious reasons. But Tottenham have the possibility of hammering the final nail in Solskjaer's coffin with a win here. This could genuinely be the final game of Solskjaer's reign as manager of Manchester United, should it obviously go extremely badly. This is a game that has always thrown up some interesting encounters down the years. It's always been an interesting and an exciting watch, this fixture throughout the seasons. These two sides are very unpredictable, and it makes for a tough decision to make when calling a prediction. And yes, the result could go any which way. I'm going to call it down the middle. I'm going to say that United come out of this with at least a point, and I'm going to say that these two sides are going to battle it out to a 2-2 draw come the final whistle. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this weekend's upcoming round of Premier League fixtures? What are your own thoughts, comments, and most of all, of course, your predictions on any or all of the upcoming round of Premier League fixtures as we enter game week 10 of the season. Also, leave down in the comment section below your thoughts and comments on fantasy football this week. I'd love to know what your plans are. Who do you see having a good week and are therefore putting into your squad? Who do you see having a bad week and therefore leaving out of your squad? Again, that will all make for interesting reading down below. Otherwise, hit that like button on the right if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and probably greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League prediction show, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video.